I write about like how the green M&M is a slut. And
She
I
is a
also write
slut.
about like anti-vaxxers, like that's been, I guess that's like a succinct definition of like my career.
That was a great introduction to EJ Dickson.
Oh, were we live? Are we recording this?
Yeah, author of One Bad Mother. You did it. You did your own introduction.
Let's do it. I think that works.
This is the Mom Curious podcast, where we say the quiet part out loud about womanhood, motherhood, and everything in between.
And I still have a couple of the vials.
Shut up!
No, you shut up. I kept them. So
You're just hoarding sperm?
no.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
That was a joke. 30, like my mid 30s, when like my body started changing and stuff after shitting out 3 kids.
Stop taking advice from people on the internet, like myself included.
And I didn't realize how heavy that would be, and that loving my children would not be enough to make me not a basket case.
And that gave me the freedom to do something for myself.
And it's an adventure that is not just all doom and gloom.
You know better, and if you didn't, now you know. EJ Dickson, welcome. What does EJ stand for?
Do you want the answer that I used to give in my when I was 15 and I thought I was like a cat scale comic? And it was like really, I thought it was funny.
We have about an hour, so
Okay.
however you want to use it.
I used to say it stood for extremely Jewish. And I thought it was funny. It actually stands for Elizabeth Jill. I don't say that anymore.
Elizabeth Jill. You don't say extremely Jewish anymore?
No, you can't really. Also because I'm on the internet and you can't say that on Elon Musk's internet. anymore,
No, you
but-
did mention that you are like a target for a lot of the anti-Semites and the
Yes.
misogynists.
So that's
they
partially
like
why.
you.
Yeah,
They
not.
like me too, in case you're wondering.
Do they? What do they say to you?
Sometimes they call me Shlomo Meat Rape. I have that. I have a screenshot of that. If we were the type of podcast where you would see pictures, that would pop up, and just to prove to you that actually happened.
How did that come up? What was the context for Shlomo? Meat
I'm,
Rape?
I'm Jewish, and I was on the internet with my children, and they were like, "How about we just torture this person?"
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's a good enough context as any. right?
extremely Jewish is actually my first name. No, it's not. It's Elizabeth Jane.
Elizabeth Jill. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I'm supposed to be listening. That's my only job. Listen and respond.
No, it's fine. Elizabeth Jill.
Elizabeth
A lot
Jill.
of people think it's Elizabeth Jane, but
Elizabeth
Jill,
Jane is a totally different person.
That's totally fine.
Okay, should we talk about your book?
One Bad Mother is the name of the book, and it is my first book, and it's a collection of essays deconstructing the historical and pop cultural trope of the bad mother. And it talks about various bad mother tropes in history and pop culture. The MILF, the momfluencer, the anti-vax mom, the MLM Karen, the working mother, the quote-unquote white trash mother, and it looks at them, the psycho mommy, and it looks at various women who have sort of represented those tropes through history and pop culture, like Joan Crawford or Peg Bundy, who we were talking about earlier. Should I say more?
Peg Bundy. Well, is it that you saw that I love Peg Bundy and that we're both wearing cheetah print, leopard print right now? I'm actually in love with Peg Bundy, and she raised me, and I have no regrets.
I love to hear you say that. In doing these interviews, I'm so happy when people bring her up. And it's rare. People usually don't. I think
I'm a rare bird, so.
I think that a lot of people are scared to admit that they watched Married with Children
No.
because
I love it. Are you crazy?
Well, because it's so cancel worthy if you watch it now.
Well, cancel me, Shlomo. You watched it, the reruns. You watched the reruns, and then you basically gave us a play-by-play in one of your chapters on it was beautiful. I mean, I have a classical acting background, and I'm this woman is dissecting each character, but the mother. So it was made for me. The book was made for me. You wrote it for me, and I appreciate that.
Oh, I love to hear that.
Yeah. And I loved how you dissected the Married with Children clan, because I love them. Well, it's cancel culture, but what was I supposed to do? I was a little kid in the 90s, and these were my parents.
Yeah.
Peg and Al.
Yeah, I feel like they were my parents too. I think I wrote that in the book. Like my dad is like a Jewish Al Bundy, which he 100% is.
My father is nowhere near Al Bundy, like so not him. My biological, amazing, wonderful father, Meir Rabbani, shalom, love you so much. But Al Bundy was my father, my father after school because they raised me. I watched that show religiously. It was like Full House, which you also unpacked for us.
Yes, I did write about Full House. Oh my God, my kids are watching Full House right now.
Mine too.
Is it really?
They love it. And it's so weird. But I do think
Let's talk about Full. I would love to talk about Full House. Can we talk about Full House?
we should name this our conversation Full House.
Because I have never met another parent whose kids are watching Full House.
Oh,
and
I
I'm
know
like,
2 other families. You should hang out with
Really?
Chrissy and Lauren. They all watch Full House. And honestly, listen, if you don't want to talk about Al Bundy and Peg, my parents, my joke parents, my not real parents. They're not my actual parents. They're nothing like my parents except that like culture raises you too. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm a smart lady, but
let's
then
stay
we
on
should-
Al Bundy and Peg, and then we'll go back to Full House.
no, I'm happy to go to Full House.
Okay.
Okay, because I do think that we were living through a time where feminism was like just finding its sea legs, and Full House was the collectives like trying to understand like, wait, what do women do at home, at work? Like, what would we do if we didn't have a mom? And then voila, Full House appears, and there's Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey filling in for mommy.
Yeah, it's very reactionary, the first season, in a lot of ways. It's, well, actually, no, later seasons, I would say, are more reactionary. The first season is kind of like they're trying to figure, like, it's very much like play acting, like this is exactly as you were saying, like, this is what mommy does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Mhm.
very like 3 men and a baby.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, which I watched recently with my daughter. And she was like, Mommy, why did they leave the baby with them? And I answered her. I was like, because we, at the time of this movie, we were really grappling with like, what is a woman? What is a mother? What would happen if a man had to step in those shoes? Like, it was,
And isn't the plot device like they leave heroin in the baby's diaper?
there's like crazy stuff that happens. And in the beginning, I was like, let's just fast forward this. And I told her, I was like, pause. They're just setting up the premise that like these are guys who are having a good time and they like to flirt with girls. But once the baby comes, they have to settle down. And she was like, okay.
But it's like you, if as a man, like as a single freewheeling man, like the only circumstance in which you could raise a child is if like a drug dealer leaves a baby on your doorstep with heroin and
In the
its
90s.
diaper.
I happen to have a really amazing husband, so I know that there are men who like are amazing. But in that culture, in that
If
time,
you look like Ted Danson, that's the only circumstance in which you can would be
he's
able to raise a child.
so dreamy. No, but I do think that but if you look like him in that time and place, it's possible to look like Ted Danson and be a.
Or John Stamos, you know, like if your sister dies
But that's
in
the
a car
gag.
accident.
That's the gag, that he's hot and he's like, okay, we're back to Full House now. The gag is that you're John Stamos, you're hot, you have your whole life ahead of you. But the funny thing is that you're changing diapers.
Yeah,
That's funny.
The funny thing, the gag is that you're hot, you're a bachelor, you have your whole life ahead of you, and the gag is like, whoops, now you're a woman. Now you're a woman,
Exactly.
whoops, because
that's
like life slapped you in the face
Mhm.
and fucked you over, and now you have to be a woman and raise a child.
Right. And I think that there was something actually quite feminist about it, except that like I wish that there were more women who, the way women are portrayed in that is so strange and sexualized. But I digress. There was a little bit of a feminine pinch of feminist sort of theory in there, where it was like, oh, let's show the world what women had to do
I don't
all
think
this
that was
time.
the takeaway, though.
It definitely wasn't the takeaway. The takeaway was like funny ha-has. But I think there was something in the air that they were grappling with, where they were like, wait, what does she do all day? Oh, she does quite a lot. Oh, moms do quite a lot. Like, what would we do without mom?
Yeah, but ultimately what happens? He goes back into the workplace, and he marries Rebecca, Becky Donaldson, and everything goes back to its natural order. All three of them go back into the workplace. And all three of them, I don't think all three of them get married by the end of it.
No, Joey does not.
Joey does not. Does Danny?
No.
No, he doesn't. It's only Jesse, actually.
Yeah, they
Weirdly.
go back to the workplace because the kids grew up.
Yeah.
Just like women. Just like women in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm a huge Full House fan. As we know, I love Married with Children. And I loved how you broke down all of these tropes, these stereotypes, these women. Actually, what I loved is that, like, what you're saying is that, like, art and media and what we consume actually becomes how we perceive each other. So, like, if we are consuming Mommy Dearest, then we think it's funny that a mom would freak out over wire hangers. But what you sort of say in the book is like, well, moms do freak out. That's a real thing that happens. And
Yeah.
like, it's not funny and it's not actually so out of the ordinary. There are people all the time who freak out over little things because they're dealing with mental illness or they're overwhelmed because it's an overwhelming task. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it, and actually better than I could have ever put it myself. I think we're living in an age where that isn't as evident as it used to be. The idea that culture feeds into the way that we live every day.
Oh, but it's so real and it's so true and it always will be.
Yeah, but we're living in an age where like cultural literacy like just does not exist.
Well, we don't know that we're being indoctrinated by Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. My kids watch YouTube.
What do they watch?
I'm one bad mother.
What do they watch though? Because it
They
depends.
watch Salish Matter quite a lot, and now that they've like burned through all of her videos, they're like watching her friends. A lot of gymnastic stuff, a lot of like science stuff too, but they don't know that it's that the parents are in on it. Like when there are pranks, like my children are 8 and 6 and they like don't know that the parents are in on being pranked, or like they believe that it's reality television. In the same way that like I believed for a very long time that the momfluencers were telling me the truth about really loving this detergent, and I was like, I have to buy the detergent. That person that like looks perfect like says to buy the detergent. Like I don't know that we understand the way we knew that Peg was a character and that was art and that was someone's creation. I don't know that we have that relationship to media anymore. Like we believe that this is the way the momfluencers behave. We believe that this is the way the reality TV shows are.
Well, the point that I was trying to make in the book is that we only had that relationship to media to varying degrees, and then like in the 90s people were really angry about Peg Bundy. Like people got really pissed off about Peg Bundy and Roseanne Barr. They were like, oh
I
my
also
God.
watched Roseanne.
Yeah, I mean, Roseanne was the best show ever. Like the decline of Roseanne has been really sad, and I write about this in the book. Like it's been really, really sad to watch because Roseanne was like my fucking hero. Like loudmouth Jewish woman. Like
also you talk about white trash and unpacking what that. Actually, can you unpack what that was for us while we were watching it? We loved the idea of watching white trash, and your understanding of what white trash is was such a novel, new definition for me because I was like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I can't even articulate it.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can articulate it either, to be honest. But I mean, I can articulate it with respect to like how I, conceive of Peg Bundy. Yeah, so Peg Bundy really pissed people off because she and Roseanne sort of came about it at a time when the white trash ethos was really being celebrated. And I'm using white trash in quotes, obviously. in popular culture. Bill Clinton was in the White House and Anna Nicole Smith was really popular. And this was sort of like people were really clutching their pearls over this and saying like this represented the decline of pop culture. Like Jerry Springer was really popular. And people thought that this really represented like, a moral decline in a lot of ways. And that Peg Bundy herself represented a moral decline because Peg was, her defining character trait was being lazy. And laziness is really synonymous with how we think of the white trash mom, right? Somebody who doesn't work, somebody who lives on welfare, somebody who doesn't contribute to society, right? But if you really think about it, like, why would somebody like Peg Bundy, who is, socioeconomically disadvantaged, like the cards, I think the line that I use in the book is like, when the cards are stacked against you, like only an idiot would play to win. Like, why would somebody like that participate in a system that is stacked against them to begin with? Um, like, why does it make sense for a woman like Peg Bundy to participate in like what we now know of as hustle culture when she can just as easily, like, why would she lean in when she can just as easily lie down, I guess, is
Which is genius.
what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I mean that's like an Ali Wong line. It's like my favorite line, and I'm obsessed with Ali Wong. But yeah, I mean that's sort of the argument that I make in the book, and I guess it's kind of like the if I could kind of summarize the argument that I make in the whole book, it's kind of that's kind of what I would summarize like the scope of the argument of the whole book as like lying down instead of leaning in to this whole patriarchal project of making us feel guilty and making us feel pressured to live up to all these standards that we really just don't need to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I feel like we really unpacked Peg Bundy.
Did we?
I think we did it. And I also am not sure that everyone watched as much Married with Children as I did, so I have to pivot now. I was really like jealous when I was reading the book. I was like, God, she wrote it. She wrote the thing.
I don't know how I did.
It was very
honestly.
funny. It was very
Thank
funny.
you. I wrote it in like fits and starts with my children banging on the door.
I want to talk about you because
my
you
God,
don't- you talk
why?
very little because you
Okay.
write very little about yourself actually, and talk very little about yourself.
That was by design.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a journalist. I've been a journalist for 10 years. Like you train yourself to not talk about yourself when
Mm.
you're in journalism. It's like you kind of beat that out of you. Like I got my start like very much in the XO Jane era of like the personal essay. This is a very niche thing to talk about. I don't know if your listeners are like familiar with this, but like, do you remember that time of like the XO Jane personal
No.
essay industrial complex? Like in 2014, 2015, when people were started like writing on the internet, they would write about how like I farted in yoga class and this is what I learned about, my personal trauma. Or like
Just like a lot of like introspection, a lot of navel gazing, a lot of me.
exactly. Yeah.
Isn't
And
that still going on?
I know. I think we kind of moved away from that as a culture, and like I think that was, a good thing and a bad thing. Like there was definitely a lot of cringe that came out of that era. Like I personally do not want to read an essay about how somebody farted in yoga class and it taught them about their personal trauma, but like at the same time, like there is something that's missing from the internet when you lose that earnestness,
Yeah.
and that vulnerability. I think like everything's a lot about presentation and branding now in a way that I think is really something gets lost, I guess, when you lose that kind of earnestness. But yeah, I mean, I think I sort of came of age kind of being like grossed out by that. And so yeah, I kind of like trained myself out of writing about myself. And this book is kind of a result of that.
Yeah. Except that the first few lines, you're like, you're in a party and you're like, I realize that other people think that I must be a bad mother if I'm writing about bad mothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's always going to be a perception about like, wait, why did this person write about a whole book about the perception of being a bad mother. So I'm gonna ask why. Like what drew you to these archetypes and just to this subject in general? Like what was the personal draw that like the thing that got you to sit down and really write about what it is to be a good mother or a bad mother, to be perceived as either or?
Well, I think like as a journalist, I'm always drawn towards people who are demonized or marginalized in some way. Like I've written an insane amount about do you know what furries are?
No.
Oh my god. I'm about to blow your mind. Furries are people who dress up in animal costumes and go to conventions and like relate very heavily to like cartoon animals. Like sometimes sexually, but not always sexually. When
Are,
they do relate to it sexually, it's called yiffing.
are they okay?
Yeah, they're more than okay. They're really happy.
Oh, great. Okay.
They're super happy. They're often queer. They're often neurodivergent. They're like the nicest people on the internet. Like, as someone who spends a lot of time on the internet, furries are like the most well-adjusted, kindest people on the internet.
And you write about them.
I write about them a lot.
I'm half furry because I wear leopard print all the time.
Like, do you identify with a leopard?
No, is that the defining factor?
Like, if you feel, yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's a defining factor, but like, if you feel, it's called a fursona, like the animal character
Persona?
that you relate to. Like, if you
Persona.
persona, yeah, exactly. Like, if you feel like you would identify really strongly with like a half leopard, half bird.
No, I don't.
Well, you can think about it. You can think about what your
I might as well
persona
just think about it.
might be.
But we were talking about you. You write a
Oh.
lot about them, is what you're saying?
Yes, I read a lot about them, and they're very misunderstood. Like, people think that they're like sex perverts,
Mm.
basically.
But you like misunderstood characters.
I do. I love writing about people like that. And I love talking to them at length and like finding out what draws them to these communities and like what makes them tick and
Humanizing them.
yeah, exactly.
Like the Karens in your book.
Yes, exactly. So I think that's what drove me to write this book. Like, there's nobody more demonized and hated than a bad mother in our society. Like nobody. And like a mother is the most vaunted figure, the person who's most put on a pedestal. And for somebody to fail as a mother, like there's nothing worse than that.
Mm.
And so for me to try to sympathize with a bad mother or to empathize with a bad mother or bring some humanity to a bad mother is like kind of the ultimate example of my project, I guess, you know, as a writer.
And when you were like first becoming a mom, were you like, oh, there's this whole new world of like now you're inside the experience?
Yeah, I mean, definitely becoming a mother and realizing how much people treat you like shit is a huge part of it. It's like a switch goes on, you know, where like people treat you like a human and then people don't treat you.
Like people like at the coffee shop or people at work?
No, like literally people at the coffee shop. Like I remember being at Pratt when my son was a month old and I was on leave and I had this giant ass. Do you remember like those Swedish big strollers?
Yeah, they're very comfortable, but they're very not good for New York City living.
And I was like trying to like get a coffee and it was the first time I had ventured out of my house and all of these like very cool looking Pratt students were looking at me like my tampon had like fallen out.
Mm-hmm.
Like my presence was just like an insult to them.
Yeah,
was-
like you were taking up too much space because you actually like you were. There's not enough
No,
space.
I was literally taking up too much space, but there wasn't anything I could do about it.
Yeah,
you know,
and, like you're procreating and making human life.
yeah, it was like such
sustaining
a potent metaphor. Like that was 9 years ago, and I still haven't like forgotten about because it just kept happening.
Because it keeps happening.
Yeah,
It's
and
an impossible task to be like a mother in society.
it is. I mean, I feel I feel like the book kind of makes that clear. You know, it's just like a never-ending treadmill of expectations that you can't get off of.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you mentioned a little bit about your own mom, who like is,
I'm so happy you asked about my mom. Nobody has asked me about my mom.
Listen,
and I'm so happy you asked me about her. Thank you.
there have been a few times in this interview that you mentioned what a fantastic job I'm doing asking the questions nobody asked.
Well, you said you
And
weren't
I'm-
a journalist, and I've been thinking, like sitting here, like you'd be an amazing journalist.
Oh, well, here we are. I did read from a teleprompter earlier.
wait, you did? Where?
Well, there is a teleprompter right there. Well, oh, it's gone now, but there was, and yeah, thank you.
No, you're like,
I'm doing this.
I don't know if you're gonna keep this in, but like, I'm sitting here thinking like,
Oh, just sit up. So I'm getting very comfortable. Sorry.
you're doing like like the goal is to like get people to like open up, and you're doing like I'm sitting here thinking like she would do such a good job like talking to celebrities and like getting people to like open up.
That's my job.
You're doing a fucking you'd be so good at it, like doing
Thank
like
you.
Rolling Stone covers and stuff.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate it.
I don't
You're
know
my
if you're gonna
Rolling
keep that
Stone
in,
cover.
but-
Let's go. Tell me about your mom.
My mom's a badass. She's out of her fucking mind.
Yeah, you mentioned that she's like very high achieving and like that if you want anything done, give it to your mom. But then she did make an appearance in the Mommy Dearest chapter, which I was like, well, now we know why.
Yeah, we fought over that. She didn't want that in there.
But she okayed it, so which means that
Ultimately, yes.
yeah, that's good.
Ultimately, yes. Well, I was like, it would be dishonest if I didn't put you in there. You know, that's my experience.
You
This is my
say
book.
you say also like, you make an appearance in that.
Yeah.
I was gonna call it an episode, but in that chapter also
Yeah.
because you can relate.
Oh,
As
yeah.
can I.
I'm
Oh
a
my God.
screamer. I'm a screamer. It's a problem.
It's actually a nervous system problem. It's not like a problem of personality. It just means like I'm overwhelmed. You don't have to feel bad about it. I mean, don't do it, I guess. But like, you know,
I do and I don't feel bad about it. Like I know it's bad for my kids.
I guess
But it's
okay.
also like, what am I supposed to do? Like I whenever I see people try to gentle parent, it makes my skin crawl. You know, like your child is literally trying to stab another child in the eye, like, and you're saying like, Preston, please don't do that. It makes me uncomfortable to see you try to stab that other child in the eye. Like what? No, your child is trying to stab another child in the fucking eye. Say, Preston, stop trying to stab that child in the fucking eye.
I couldn't agree more. I actually was like, I spent many many episodes, many seasons of this podcast talking about gentle parenting and like touting it. And I
Oh my God, you
regret
touted it?
Yeah, I regret it because I think it's like now that my kids are in public school and all of these like, you know, this like wildly progressive public school, it's like, well, you're being so nice to your own child to the detriment of your child and now my child because they don't know how to behave. They actually don't know what it's like to be in community because you've treated them like they're this like porcelain thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing it again.
I think it's gonna create a
So
generation
your mom
of
wasn't-
psychopaths.
psychopaths,
honestly,
yeah. But your mom wasn't like that, and you're clearly doing great.
Oh my
Your
God,
mom
you're
was
so
a
good at it.
screamer. You're a screamer.
Did you read a book about it? About like interview? How did you like become such a good interviewer?
I don't know. I did it. Stop.
No, I'm not.
Now
I
you're
genuinely
doing-
want to know because I am not. I don't have those skills. Like,
I'll
I've
tell
been
you-
doing
I'll
this
tell
for a
you the
very
tr-
long time.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Okay.
I read a lot of biographies as a child
Oh my God! Wow.
because
Okay.
I am curious about humans. A lot of biographies and a lot of Holocaust books, if we're being honest. Extremely Jewish Dickson. Okay.
Okay, I have something to ask you after this, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was curious about the Holocaust, but I was
Okay.
curious about humanity. Like many, many, many biographies.
Okay.
And then I became an actress and I wanted to be those people. I'm very curious about people. So when I read your book, I love that you can really analyze all of these characters. Like I'm obsessed with it. I love it. And I love what it means for culture and society. But for me as a person and for the body of this work of the podcast, what's so exciting to me is that you're here and that I get to know you. I want to know you. Like I want to know you. And I also know that like, you know, on other podcasts, I get to know your intellect and the way you analyze the world and the way mothers live in it. But like, I have the opportunity to like let the world in on who you are and like why you would write a whole book about bad moms. I think that's so fascinating. I didn't ever like no one ever taught me anything. It's just that I'm really genuinely curious about like you.
Yeah, but a lot of people are curious, and you're very good at. I mean, you're much better than most people at like engaging.
I know, but you're not answering the question. So how good am I?
No, I'll answer the question.
But thank you.
But it's because you're asking such good questions that like. I mean, this is a testament to your skill. Sorry, I don't mean to like blow smoke up your ass. It's just it's genuinely very impressive.
Thank you.
Like-
Adrian did contact me specifically. Your publicist.
Really? Because she's a fan of yours?
I have no idea. I
Oh.
don't know. But she sent me the book and I read it and I liked it and here we are.
I love that. Yeah, she's very, very good at her job. Okay, you asked about my mother.
It's
Yeah.
hard because it's like, what are the kosher things to say? Like, what are we allowed to say?
My mother is the most important person in my life. My parents are the most important people in my life. They are out of their minds in completely different ways. My mother is the most impressive person that I know. She can get anything done. She, I told you she got banned. I mean, I didn't tell you. I told you in the sense that I write about it in the book. But she got banned from Pastrami Queen. She's probably the only human being in the world who has ever been banned from Pastrami Queen. I still am not clear as to how she got banned from Pastrami Queen.
So you have to get the pastrami queen and then drop it off.
No, apparently we've been unbanned. I asked her this a couple days ago,
Oh, that's good.
but I think it's because we got. I think it's because we got a new account.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad.
I
It's
think
actually
it's-
delicious. If you ever go to Pastrami Queen on the Upper East Side, it's delicious. I do think it's kosher also.
I think it is kosher.
I'm so happy for them for that.
Yeah, that is kosher.
Yeah.
Well, kosher deli is much better than non-kosher deli.
As we know.
Yes, it's infinitely better.
Yeah.
Just like objectively. Like, not. I mean, are you kosher?
No.
Yeah, neither am I. But everything like non-kosher food is generally worse than kosher food. But
In general?
I mean, no, kosher food is generally worse than non-kosher food.
Correct.
Sorry.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
but kosher deli is better than
I have to agree.
non-kosher deli.
Yeah.
But anyway, she got us. She's the only human being to get banned from Pastrami Queen. But like, if you have a problem with like an airline or like a hotel reservation, like she will fix it. Like she gets shit done.
What does she do professionally?
She's retired now, but she was, and she came from like a pretty modest background, like a lower middle class background. But she was Phi Beta Kappa, which she's very proud of. She was a, head of internal corporate communications at MetLife, like really, very ambitious, very smart. She's great
But why is she the most important person in your life?
because
More important than you call him like the most handsome man in the world? No, what do you call him at the end of the
my
book?
hot husband.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I literally Googled him after reading that. I was like, is he hot?
And what'd you think?
I think he's cute, but I actually really thought, I was like, good for her for being like, he's like the 0.01% of hot men or something like that. I don't know. You wrote it really well, but
I think. I mean, you don't have to share my. I think he's super hot. But
Oh, I love that so
I think
much.
he looks like Sam Donaldson, Sam Waterston, not Sam Donaldson.
But your parents are the most important people in your life more than your hot husband?
I don't know more than. But I mean, they have shaped me. I mean, my father is the reason why I became a writer. My father is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's a much better writer than I am. He is the reason why I personally don't have a filter. Like he raised me to believe that honesty is the most important thing in the whole world, and that has gotten me in trouble many, many times throughout my life. But it's also been like a guiding force throughout my life. Like I've been doing these interviews, and I come on here and I just say shit, and like what I said to you, that this has been like, you're a really good interviewer. Like that's fucking real, like
I appreciate
I
it.
just say shit. I just say what's on my mind, and that's because of how I was raised. Like, but it also gets me in trouble. And yeah, my parents are the most important people in the world. I would not have written a book if it weren't for my parents. They were they have been so supportive of me. Like I wanted to become a teacher at one point instead of a writer when I graduated college. And my parents, I sat down at the dinner table and I was like, I think I want to get a master's in education or something. And they started shrieking at me like, no, you cannot fucking do this. You need to become a writer. You need to like go and try to get a job and make zero money. You are too good at writing. Like you need to go do that.
It's amazing.
And I cannot think of any Jewish parents who would ever do that, or any parents who would ever do that in a million years. Like they saw that I was good at something And they were like, you have to do this, even though it'll basically ruin your life because you're too good at it
But
not
it
to.
hasn't. I mean, you've like been
I
published
mean,
everywhere.
I don't make any money, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, ditto.
And like all writers are miserable, you know?
Is that true?
I think so.
Hmm.
I mean, you're an actor.
Misery.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I mean.
I'm having a great time right now.
Yeah, but like, you know, overall.
But like once this is done, it's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like creative people, going into a creative field is not, generally speaking, like a good idea.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you're saying they're the
What I'm saying is like they should have told me, like they shouldn't have told me go become a teacher. What they should have told me is like marry a really, really rich guy.
Yeah.
Like be nice to like the really, really ugly rich guy in college and like marry him and just work on your body all day.
Right. I guess, but you got that message from everyone else.
I
So
don't
they were
think I
like-
was smart enough to hear it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
You know, like I think they should have been a little bit more specific
Yeah.
and like told me that
Yeah.
like explicitly.
I don't know if you would have been happy. You wrote a great book.
Well, thank you, but
You're welcome.
I probably would have been happier with $40 million.
I mean, that also would be nice. But okay, but what I'm hearing is, and what you wrote in the book was that, like, yeah, she was reactive, but she's the most important person in your life. Like, the idea that a bad mother is this person who freaks out over wire hangers. I mean, to the point where we've totally canceled Jane Fonda. No, not Jane Fonda. Who was the
Joan Crawford.
Joan
yeah.
Crawford. We've canceled her. We've canceled out all her enormous body of work because of this portrayal of her as a
Yes.
terrible,
Which we don't even know
bad
is
mother
true, which is
that
disputed.
you can
Yeah.
relate to, that you can relate to as a child, that you could relate to as a mother yourself, and yet
To an extent.
to an extent,
yes,
she wasn't
yes,
like
yes.
abusive, obviously, but she was. We're all reactive sometimes.
Yes, yes.
You know, but she could be the most important person in your life.
Because people are complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And because life is complicated.
And like your personality is complicated. You know, these what's the verb? The people who
Persona.
your personas.
Your personas are complicated.
Your personas are complicated.
It's something that I don't know if you spend a lot of time like on TikTok or like in certain corners.
I
of-
really try not to do TikTok, but Instagram, I just like scroll and scroll and scroll like a crazy person. I gotta get off that thing.
Yeah, so you're familiar with like the therapy speak corners.
So much that therapy speak. I don't think it's helping us. I honestly don't.
It's not. I mean, I agree. I don't think it is. And there was a reaction to this book that I was sort of anticipating. It hasn't really come yet, but I think it will. Where people are sort of, they kind of define their relationships. I guess let me rephrase this. There are these corners of the internet that I guess are like therapy speak corners of the internet where they would look at a movie like Mommy Dearest and they would look at a mother like Joan Crawford and kind of have a very one-dimensional view of it.
As we have as a collective for a long
yeah,
time.
as a collective, or you know, and sort of what are the words that people use? They're like there's a lot of discussion about like no contact
yeah.
relationships and sort of you know, they think of relationships with parents who are abusive or relationships with people who might inflict trauma as sort of the zero sum black and white equation.
Mhm.
And I think there are many, many, many cases where that can be true and, you know, is true. But I also think that there are a lot of relationships that, you know, families are complicated and the dynamics are complicated and people are complicated. And I do worry that some of this therapy speak discourse is kind of flattening out the nuances
I appreciate that. I totally agree.
of that, you know.
And also, I think we're creating a society where mothers are very afraid of being a bad mom and being considered a bad mom, not just by like onlookers, which I definitely I like fall prey to, but like to be afraid that we're gonna be the subject of our kids' therapy sessions is often like I'll go to a dinner party and I'll hear someone be like, "Oh, my kid's gonna bring that up in therapy." It's like to we're plagued by this idea that like, "Ooh, we're gonna mess up," and I
Of course, we're gonna mess up.
because we're messed up
Yeah,
because we're human.
I think that. I mean, look, I did not write this book as a parenting manual. I think it would be idiotic if anybody read this book and was like, "Oh, this person is well qualified to give parenting advice." You know, and like some people have asked me in these interviews, like, "Do you have any advice for?" I'm like, "Who the fuck do you think you're talking to?" You know, like,
You're like, I have advice on watching TV.
yes, I have advice on watching TV and looking at your phone.
Yeah.
Like, I have advice.
You have
on-
so much advice on that, and it's great advice.
I have advice on like which Patty Lupone like YouTube clips if you can introduce your child to, like if you want to make them extremely neurotic in a couple years, but like you know, I'm not going to give you advice on like how to parent your child. Like that's not what this book is about. But so I'm not I want to just preface this by saying like this, I don't want to give advice about anything, but like I think if there's anything that I could say, it's like, of course you're going to mess up your child. You know, you would need to consider like messing up your child or making mistakes as like an inevitability, not a fear.
Hmm.
It's not the prospect of messing up your child. It's a certainty. It's a weather event.
Was there like a moment where you realized that yourself, or was that like something you always knew?
I think right now. No, I think just being an imperfect human navigating an imperfect world.
With like little imperfect humans. I mean, as much as I like tell my kids, I'm like, "You're perfect. You're not perfect. You're perfect for me, but you're not perfect." They're not perfect.
They're not perfect.
They're not. It doesn't matter how much gentle parenting will ever do. I loved your critique of Dr. Becky's work especially when it comes to neurodivergent kids. You don't mention it in the book, but if you wanted to touch on it now, I'm more than happy to delve in. But that we're not perfect, they're not perfect, and neither were our parents. And I there's like something really sad that we have to even say it out loud. Like that there's like some confusion that like if we did it perfectly, if we were a good mother. Like what is a good mother? Do you have a definition for what that is?
For what a good mother is?
Yeah.
I think the closest thing is D.W. Winnicott's Good Enough Mother standard, which is basically, my understanding of it is you give your kid a lot of attention and affection when they're very young, and then you sort of recede as they grow older, so you give them room to make mistakes on their own and to develop into their own person. You try to be good, but you're good enough. You're good. You're good enough. You're there for them enough. That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the only parenting model that makes sense to me. I would say, because they're not. I was talking to something that you said earlier. I was talking to my friend the other day. We brought our kids over to her parents' house, and they were full of praise for my kids. Like, they're so sweet, they're so smart. Like, her father thinks like my kid's a genius. And I was like, well, I don't think he's a genius. And she was like, why not? Why don't you think he's a genius? And I was like, I mean, anything's possible. Like, I think he's very smart, but like, is he, a Mensa genius? Like, probably not. And she was like, why don't you want to concede the possibility that like maybe he's a genius? Like, why are you downplaying your child's intelligence? Like, it was almost accusatory in a way. And I was like, I think I was sort of surprised that she was like almost offended by the fact that I was like by my reaction. And I was like, yeah, I don't understand why we have to like lean into calling our children geniuses all the time, or saying our children are the most beautiful children in the world, or saying our children are perfect, or embracing absolutely everything about them and saying they're flawless. Like, They're not flawless. We're not flawless.
I know.
They're not perfect. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
And our parents aren't perfect.
And our
that's
parents aren't perfect.
okay.
They're growing. We're growing. We're making mistakes. They make mistakes. That is what human beings are.
Mm.
Like, we don't have to walk around. And I hate when parents walk around like spouting you know, the parents at your kids' schools who, like, whenever they're talking about their talking about their kids, they always change the conversation to, well, my kid is doing this and my kid is like extolling their kids' virtues.
Yeah, I think I sometimes have been that person, which I'm going to publicly apologize for. But yes, I do. And
If I
that's
ever
annoying.
have
I'm not that person anymore.
If I ever have been, I atone for that. Like, I'm gonna use this space to like publicly atone for that, because there's nothing that fucking pisses me off more.
Then when someone's taking your time to talk about how great their kid is.
No, not so much. Like, if you do it occasionally, like, I mean, obviously, like, I love talking about how great my kids are. Like, my kids are sweet and smart and bright and beautiful and like all those things. But like, if you spend every ounce of your energy like talking about that, and especially like grown up conversations, like turning the conversation to like, oh, and I'm thinking of one specific parent who it's taking every like ounce of energy of my body to like not say her name. But like, if you're spending like all of your adult conversations doing that, like, that drives me insane. Like, I just nothing bothers me more. I don't know. Like,
Mhm.
why are you?
I guess like because it's like the idea that like everything's perfect and one dimensional is like really like irksome. That's what I'm hearing. You're like, it's okay for things to be like messy.
Yeah, like, why do I have to say that my child is a genius?
Oh, you don't, but he might be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's really smart. But he also, like, I don't know, he also took a shit in the hot tub that day, that
Oh,
same
no.
day. Like,
Oh,
what?
Ew.
Am I supposed to sit here and say, like, my 3-year-old who took a shit in the hot tub is also, like, you know, a Mensa level, Stephen Hawking level genius?
It's
No.
no, but it's possible. I mean, sometimes.
Sure,
like,
it's possible.
Yeah.
Is it likely? It's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like your breakdown of momfluencers. Can you get into your hypotheses on momfluencers and how they've affected culture and our perception of a good mom or a bad mom or moms in general?
Sure. Yeah, my feelings about momfluencers are complicated because I think they're causing a lot of harm to society, as you pointed out earlier. There's not really, we don't have a lot of like tools in terms of cultural literacy to sort of unpack the lies that they're selling us. But I also think that a lot of the antipathy that we have for them is motivated by the fact that they are sort of exposing the scam inherent to motherhood, that they are monetizing something that we are doing for free.
I know. The trad wives are like the peak of that, or at least the trad wives who are on Instagram. I don't know anything about trad wives in real life, but yeah, it's like all this free labor of like feeding, clothing, cleaning.
Yeah.
That they're monetizing. I know.
They're making so much
and I think
money.
a lot of the rage you mentioned towards momfluencers are like jealousy, you know, like that we're like,
Absolutely.
yeah, that like, wait, you're getting paid. I actually remember a coach once telling me like, if you want to be nice to your child, like turn on your camera and film yourselves.
What?
Yeah.
A parenting coach?
Yeah. Because that's how she like would like sell her parenting courses. And she was like this idyllic mom. And I guess that's how it worked for her. She would turn on the camera and like be the person that she wanted to be. So she would say like, turn on the camera. And
That's creepy.
I know. Well,
Like-
I don't know if it's creepy or what's the camera for, but yeah, I do think that it's a performance. It is a performance. I can tell you from experience if I'm like I try not to be performative, but there will always be a performance aspect. Like we're having a conversation as real and raw as possible, but there are cameras in front of us right now.
It sounds like she read Foucault.
What? Oh, really?
That parenting coach.
Tell me more.
Well, I talk about it in the book. The concept of the panopticon,
Wow.
which is it's this theory. I can't believe I'm talking about this because I fucking hate Foucault so much, but it was invented by this 18th century British architect that is basically adopted by prisons now. It's like this circular building, and in the center there is this guard watching all the prisoners, and all of the cells are surrounding this one guard in the center, and the guard can see inside all of the cells, and the cells can all watch each other. So everybody's watching each other at all times while the guard is watching everybody else. So everybody's looking at each other and watching each other's behavior all the time. It's kind of like the modern internet. And it's kind of like what this parenting coach you're describing is inspired by. Like, you're watching yourself, you're watching everybody else. And she's saying that that's an appropriate way to think of your parenting. And it probably is. I mean, it sounds like it was effective for her.
Well, not necessarily to share it, but to even just have eyes on you.
But it's internalized, yeah. Like she's saying you should internalize this feeling that you're constantly being watched.
Or that you're being watched, and you turn on that. You have the choice to turn on the camera, and be watched. And what does being watched do for you? But I feel similarly to like the bad mom trope. The bad mom is a perception. It's a projection from someone else onto the mother. You know, you talk about mothers who are struggling with poverty, you know, who are genuinely bad moms. You know, they're negligent, they're maybe in some cases abusive. Like that projection that they are bad because they are bad. They are inherently bad. Well, there's a reason for why they are the way they are. You know, a lot of our understanding of like what a good mom is or what a bad mom is essentially the eyes outside of us. Well, how do we feel about ourselves is the real question. How do we feel about our parenting? How do you feel about your parenting?
I'm probably not a good parent.
What do you mean?
I mean, according to what standard? You know, like according to Dr. Becky's standard, according to your standard, according to those guys' standards. Like, you know, it's according to whose standards?
According to your standards.
According to my standards?
Yeah.
I mean, my standards are pretty low.
Great.
I mean, my standards are, do my children feel safe? Do they feel happy? Do they feel supported? I would like to think they do. So, you know, according to those standards, I think that I'm a good parent. Probably according to Dr. Becky's standards, I'm not such a good parent.
Yeah, but you don't agree with her either. I mean, you parent a neurodivergent child, right? And you even talk about it in the book. That diagnoses and also your own struggles with mental health. It's like, well, we have to factor all of that in. The listener has to factor all of that in when we like label ourselves a good or bad parent. You have it has to be from like you know, like I am as good a parent as I can be. I'm dealing with like enormous grief. I'm only as good a parent as I can be right now. Is it like to the standard of Dr. Becky? No, but do I think Dr. Becky's a great parent? I don't know. I don't know her. I only know me. And for me, I can only parent as good as I can right now. And that has to be okay. Because I'm a human being, you know, who's like navigating loss. That's real. It's unfortunate, but it's real, you know? So anyway, when I hear that with you, it's like, well, we're not talking about like the projection of other people. We're talking about like what's more important, like how you feel in your own self as a parent. If your kids are safe, they're clothed, they got food, they're okay.
But I think there are a lot of people who would say, well, that's too low a bar. and I dispute that. I mean, the whole book is about disputing that. And I think it's really, I mean, I think it's really, I really hate to use this word because it's just thrown around in really like,
Is it the P word?
what's the P word? No,
Oh.
it's the B word. Brave.
Oh.
I think it's really brave of you to say, I'm parenting as well as I can under the circumstances that I can right now. That's not an admission, or that's not that most people can make, right now.
Mm-hmm. Brave. Yeah.
Again, like, I hate using that word. It's a very Oprah word. And then it's not a word I use lightly. I've maybe used it in this context like twice in my life, but I
Mhm.
mean it. Like, I do.
It is the truth. I mean, I think um, grief, loss, I mean, it's really brought me to my knees, and it does not make me the kind of parent that I want to be. It's also my reality. And if I'm going to be helpful to anyone listening, I have to be honest.
Yeah, that's important.
If I want to do
Honesty
my
is the most important thing in the world.
honesty is
I
the
really do
best
believe that.
quality. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think you make the point not as clearly, not as like concretely, but you make it in the book as well. You say like there are parents who deal with um, anxiety and depression, as you say that you have, or raising a neurodivergent child, or there are parents who deal with poverty, with like real serious issues like systemic racism. And for us to just label them as a society as good or bad is so limiting. It's not about our opinions of them.
It's appalling. It's appalling to me, honestly, the stories that I came across in reading this book and how dismissed these women are. It's appalling.
Like what?
The one that I keep thinking about is Vanessa Peoples, the woman who her child ran away from her. They were out in a park having a picnic, and her child toddler just ran away from her for a couple seconds. Something that would happen to you, to me, to anyone. And somebody saw and called the police, and the police came to her house. She was a cancer survivor, woman of color, hogtied her, um, pushed her, hogtied her on her lawn, and took her child away from her. And she has been dealing with the repercussions of that for years. I mean, CPS is really like, I spoke to Dorothy Roberts while researching this book, and I mean, basically, she wrote an entire book about how CPS is basically just a continuation of, slavery, of a time when white masters would take black slaves' children away. And it's an amazing book, and I don't remember the title, so I can't can I look it up and edit it in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. But it's torn apart. Torn apart is the name of the book, and it's incredibly powerful, and just that story in particular, like, she has tons of stories like that in the book, but that story in particular, like, really really stuck with me. And the fact that women like Vanessa Peoples are labeled bad mothers just because her child ran away from her for a split second in a park, like something that could happen to literally any mother at any time, is just astonishing to me.
Mhm.
Like, how does that not make every mother on the planet's blood boil? That your children could be taken away from you and you could be hogtied on your lawn for something like that.
Because it could literally happen to anyone.
It could literally happen to anybody.
Yeah, I know. It's so wild. If the reader could take away, one nugget, one piece of, not advice. No one wants advice. No one ever wanted advice. But something to chew on. What would you want that for them?
Mm, I think a variation of, well, first of all, I'm so sorry for what you're dealing with.
Thank you so
It
much.
sounds, just parenting under those circumstances sounds so impossible, and coming into, the studio under those circumstances sounds so impossible. And again, like, I commend your bravery,
Thank you.
using that word again, for doing so.
Someone else called me brave at like a birthday party. I showed up for like 5 minutes, and she was like, "You're so brave," and I was like, "It's kind of like when you call me brave. It's like I just fell off a cliff and I'm like still alive and I'm falling, and you're like, you're so brave," and I'm like, "Okay, I hope I find soft ground at the bottom of this."
What word do you prefer to brave? What feels more accurate?
I don't know. I guess honest is actually what I feel like I am. I'm just being honest. In the hopes that that inspires honesty from you and from the listener. If I could just like be home in bed, I would, but I'm alive. That's really like I have to keep living. I actually don't really have a choice unless we're going down that road, which we're not. Like that I'm alive. And so
But you could stay at home and do nothing.
I could, and some days I do. Yeah, I could, and I guess I know that my sister wouldn't want that for me. Like that would be so sad for her. I wouldn't want that for her, in as her legacy. And so I'm just being honest about something that's hard, and that not everyone will go through a tragedy like I've been through, but everyone will live through grief. If you love someone, you will live through grief. Uh, Hopefully not nearly as dramatic as this, and after someone, the person that you love is old and gray and has lived a long life, but it's a part of life. And if I'm not honest about it, I'm not doing my job, but also I'm not being me. I'm like that's who I am,
Yeah, I understand.
you know?
That's your job.
Yeah, and if we're talking about being a good mother or a bad mother or being perceived that way, like you mention it early on in the book. You say like I have the privilege of being honest. No one's taking away my children if I tell you that I'm too grief-stricken to make dinner. Because I'm white passing. I have enough money and enough. I have enough for my kids. So you lay that out beautifully in the book. Like I have the privilege of being honest. So I take it.
Well, I appreciate your honesty, and I think that your listeners are going to really appreciate your honesty too.
EJ,
So thank you for it.
thank you.
I guess back to your question, um what you said about giving yourself grace to realize that you're going through something bigger than yourself right now, and you cannot be the parent that you want to be right now. I think that that is probably the greater lesson that I would want people to take away from the book. And to me, when I first started writing it, it seemed like giving yourself grace to not be the best mother in the world 100% of the time. Like when I first started writing it, to me, it sort of seemed like an obvious message, because when I first became a parent, we were sort of living through a time when of like the it's wine o'clock somewhere culture of bad moms when that movie came out, and Chrissy Teigen was sort of like the poster child for a certain type of motherhood, and moms were
Like
sort of
sexy moms?
like sexy
MILF,
moms.
the MILF, the
Yeah,
MILF character you talk about her.
like cool milfs and moms, and people were sort of reclaiming this idea that motherhood didn't have to look a certain way, that motherhood didn't have to be perfect. And I feel like that's kind of completely changed in the past 5 or 6 years, like since I first started thinking about this book. Like motherhood has gone from this thing that we could talk openly about and we could talk about how hard it was, to a mom can go online and talk about how she doesn't necessarily love doing the dishes 100% of the time, and she'll get piled on by 100 commenters being like, oh well, you're a dumb whore, and you're probably Shlomo Mc what were you called?
Shlomo rape meat.
You're Shlomo rape meat, and you deserve to have your children taken away from you. Like that's the climate that we're living in. I mean, it happens every day. I see it all the time. Like there are subreddits, snark subreddits for momfluencers, where these women there are like hundreds of commenters who are regularly talking about calling CPS on these women for very often stupid reasons. Like sometimes they're legitimate reasons, like they suspect abuse, but like for every Ruby Frankie, there is like somebody threatening to call CPS because a room is dirty, or somebody is giving their child powdered donuts for breakfast.
Oh no.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. The judgment, it's out of control. Like the judgment and the shame is out of control. Like we are living in a time when the panopticon is like, I'm not going to go into the panopticon.
I don't know
because
why everyone's sharing all of their stuff online. I asked that of myself also. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean,
What am I doing?
That's another question. Like, I don't know why I do it either. I don't know why I wrote a fucking book, to be honest. Like, why
you
did I
had
open
to,
up
'cause
that
you're an
can of
artist.
worms? I guess
You had something to say.
I don't know why I opened up that can of worms, but
But
yeah,
you did, and now we're here.
yeah. I mean, I guess we're living in a time when it's never been easier to uh, shame yourself and be judged, and when the consequences have never been more dire, especially if you're Black or brown. If you are shamed or judged for being a bad mother. And I think the takeaway from the book is just to give yourself more grace. Like I think that is a subversive act right now in the extremely rightward climate, in the extremely right wing climate that we're living in. I think it is a subversive act to lie down rather than lean in and just don't give a shit. Like I really do.
You give a shit about your kids, but you don't give a shit about the game.
Yes, exactly. I don't give a shit about the mom WhatsApp groups. Like, I don't give a shit about whether or not I'm going to bring in cupcakes for, the umpteenth PTA fundraiser. Like, I'm not going to feel bad if I don't do that. Like, I
don't feel bad.
Yeah.
But grief aside, never was that person. I don't have the executive function or the care.
But there are a lot of mothers who don't.
But I
feel that way.
I think of myself as an essentially good mother. Genuinely. Even if I can't perform the actions or perform, I think essentially the idea that we're taking an hour and 20 minutes to talk about what a good mother is versus a bad mother, what is perception versus what is my own opinion of myself. I think that in and of itself means you're talking or listening to good mothers.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do.
I think it means that.
Well, at least we're self-reflective.
Yeah, or just that we're so inundated with all the bullshit all the time, and that we're just smart enough or neurotic enough to kind of reflect. Yeah, self-reflective enough to think about it.
That's like what makes Homo sapiens humans, the reflective part. The consciousness part, like we're doing the human thing.
But yeah, I guess you're right. It's like how sociopaths, if you think you're a sociopath, you're not a sociopath. If you think you might be a sociopath, you're not a sociopath.
I have asked so many times if I was a narcissist. I'd be like, am I? You could tell me, therapist. You could tell me if I am.
But if you think you're a narcissist, if you think you might be, then you're not one.
I know.
If you think you might be a bad mother, you're not a bad mother.
Yeah, it's like you're an actor. You got to ask that question.
Yeah, but again, if you think you might be, then you're not one. If you worry about it.
Yeah. So I think I genuinely believe myself to be a good mother, even if it means right now I can't show up the way I want to.
And that's okay.
and that's okay. I offer that again, just just so that maybe someone can adopt that for themselves. And thank you for spurring on this conversation.
Thank you
EJ
for having me.
Dickson.
This was great.
Thank you. Did we miss anything? And how can we find you and follow you and get to know you even better?
I am on X and Instagram at EJ Dickson. I'm on TikTok, kind of. And you can buy my book, One Bad Mother, Amazon, at Barnes and Noble, wherever you buy books.
Okay, so I'm assuming we didn't miss anything.
I don't think so. I think I was way too honest. I,
We did it again,
Yeah.
friends. Bye. See you next week.
This has been a Hoff Studios production, executive producer Laura Lucetti. Also, if you like the show, please send it to a friend and leave a review, because we are in this together. Mwah.